She's the pop star nobody ever expected to last. A soap opera actress who was laughed out of the room, a manufactured puppet from a hit factory, brutally dismissed by the press with the nickname the singing budgie. She was dropped by her label, ridiculed by critics, and faced a personal battle so devastating it brought the world to a standstill. Yet, 5 decades later, while nearly all of her contemporaries have faded into nostalgia, she's not just still here. She's winning Grammys and Global Icon Awards. How did Kylie Minogue survive a ruthless industry that tried to destroy her, and what is the shocking, untold story behind one of the most incredible careers in music history? It all started on the set of a sunny Australian soap opera, Neighbours. As Charlene Robinson, the feisty overall-wearing mechanic, Kylie Minogue became an absolute phenomenon. In the late 1980s, she was Australia's sweetheart, and her on-screen romance with co-star Jason Donovan captivated millions. But behind the scenes, a different kind of machine was revving its engine. In London, the production trio of Stock Aitken Waterman, known as SOR, were running a hit factory. They were infamous for churning out formulaic but insanely successful pop songs for artists like Rick Astley and Bananarama. They saw Kylie not as an artist, but as a product. They flew her to London, and in a story that has become pop legend, they completely forgot she was coming. While a nervous Kylie waited in the reception area, the producers scrambled, writing the song I Should Be So Lucky in less than an hour. The track was an instant colossal hit, and overnight, Kylie the actress was transformed into Kylie the pop star. But with that meteoric fame came a wave of vicious criticism, especially from the UK's notoriously snobbish music press. Publications like NME and Melody Maker despised her. They saw her as the ultimate manufactured pop product, a pretty face with a thin voice singing disposable bubblegum tunes. They gave her a demeaning nickname designed to belittle her every success, the singing budgie. To them, she was a joke, a puppet whose strings were being pulled by 3 men in a studio, and for a while she played the part. Her first album sold millions, but creatively she felt utterly trapped. In her own words, she admitted, "I was very much a puppet in the beginning. I was blinkered by my record company. I was unable to look left or right. Little did anyone know, the sweet girl next door was about to meet the one person who would hand her a match and encourage her to burn that entire image to the ground." His name was Michael Hutchence, the magnetic, dangerously charismatic frontman of the rock band INXS. When Kylie and Hutchence began a relationship in 1989, the world was stunned. He was the epitome of rock and roll rebellion and raw sexuality. She was the squeaky clean pop princess. The press became obsessed, coining a now infamous headline that he was on a mission to corrupt Kylie. And he did. He introduced her to a world of art, literature, and edgy music far beyond the confines of the hit factory. He gave her confidence, telling her she was more than just a pop puppet. He encouraged her to break free. She began to take creative control, ditching the bubblegum sound for a more mature, complex, and sexually charged image. This radical transformation culminated in her 1997 album, Impossible Princess. It was her declaration of artistic independence, an experimental, dark, and deeply personal mix of indie, trip-hop, and electronica, inspired by artists like Bjork and Garbage. It was everything her old music wasn't, and it was a complete commercial disaster. The public, who wanted the fun, bubbly Kylie, was confused and rejected. The media was even crueler. One UK radio station, Virgin Radio, launched an entire campaign around the slogan, "We've done something to improve Kylie's records, we've banned them." As if the professional humiliation wasn't enough, the album's UK release was overshadowed by a national tragedy. Originally titled Impossible Princess, the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, forced a last-minute name change to simply Kylie Minogue, adding to the chaos and confusion. The album flopped spectacularly. In the ultimate blow, her record label, Deconstruction Records, dropped her. Her career was in ruins. Then, in the midst of this professional devastation, she was struck by an unthinkable personal tragedy. Michael Hutchence, the man who had unlocked her artistic soul, was found in a Sydney hotel room, having taken his own life. Kylie was heartbroken. Now, without a record deal, her credibility shattered. And mourning the loss of her great love and mentor, it seemed the singing budgie's flight was finally and tragically over. For most artists, being dropped by your label after a monumental flop is a career death sentence. But for Kylie, it was the beginning of her greatest chapter. After years in the wilderness, playing small gigs and taking roles in indie films just to stay afloat, she managed to sign a new deal with Parlophone Records. The label saw a flicker of the star she once was, but they took a huge gamble on a has-been. They had one condition: she had to embrace what she did best. No more indie experiments. It was time to return to pure, glorious, unapologetic pop. The result was the 2000 album Light Years, and its lead single was a disco-infused track called Spinning Around. In a fascinating twist of fate, the song had first been written for Paula Abdul, who turned it down. It was Kylie's last shot. The song was an anthem of rebirth, but it was the music video that truly heralded her return. Working with a new creative team, she danced on a bar wearing a pair of tiny, shimmering gold hot pants. The image was electric. It was a bold, confident, and playful statement. The girl next door was gone, replaced by a self-aware, glamorous pop goddess who was in on the joke. The media who had mocked her were now utterly obsessed. The single shot to #1, and suddenly Kylie was back and bigger than ever. Those gold hot pants, which she famously bought for just 50 pence at a London flea market, are now considered so culturally significant that they are framed and displayed in a museum. They didn't just relaunch her career, they cemented her status as an icon who could create magic out of nothing. But the comeback was only getting started. What came next would turn her into the biggest star on the planet. Following the runaway success of Light Years, Kylie went back into the studio to create what would become the defining album of her career, 2001's Fever. And with it came a song so hypnotic, so impossibly perfect, that it felt like it was beamed from another planet. That song was Can't Get You Out of My Head. With its robotic la-la hook and futuristic music video, the track was a global atomic bomb. But incredibly, it almost didn't happen. The song was first offered to S Club 7, who rejected it. Then it was offered to Sophie Ellis Bextor, who also turned it down. It was Kylie who heard its magic. The track went to #1 in over 40 countries and became an inescapable part of the cultural zeitgeist. Kylie Minogue was no longer just a pop star. She was a global force, finally earning the critical respect that had eluded her for so long. She performed the song at the BRIT Awards in a stunning mashup with New Order's Blue Monday, a move so cool it silenced even her harshest critics. The Fever album sold millions, and she embarked on a massive, sold-out world tour. She had finally done it. She had overcome the industry's scorn, survived a career-ending flop, and climbed to the very top. She was untouchable. And then, in May of 2005, in the middle of the Australian leg of her tour, a shocking announcement was made. All future dates were canceled. At 36 years old, Kylie had been diagnosed with breast cancer. The world was in disbelief. At the absolute peak of her power and fame, the pop princess was now facing the fight for her life. The news of Kylie's diagnosis sent shockwaves around the world. The media frenzy was intense, with paparazzi camped outside her family home in Melbourne. But behind closed doors, Kylie was fighting a silent, grueling battle. She underwent a lumpectomy and began an exhausting course of chemotherapy. Her illness, which she later described as feeling like experiencing a nuclear bomb, forced her completely out of the public eye. But something incredible and unforeseen happened during her absence. By being open about her diagnosis, she inadvertently started a global health movement. News outlets were flooded with stories about her fight, and as a result, awareness about the importance of early detection skyrocketed. Doctors began reporting a massive, unprecedented surge in young women booking mammograms, a phenomenon they officially dubbed the Kylie effect. Without setting out to, she was saving lives. Years later, she would reveal another shocking detail. Her cancer had initially been misdiagnosed. A doctor had given her the all clear, but sensing something was still wrong, she sought a second opinion which confirmed the diagnosis. Her message to the world was clear: you have to be your own advocate. After more than a year of brutal treatment, she was finally declared cancer-free. Her return to the stage for the rescheduled Showgirl Homecoming tour was one of the most emotional moments in music history. On the first night, as she stood in the spotlight, tears streamed down her face as the crowd roared. She was fragile yet defiant. It was more than a concert, it was a powerful celebration of survival. The woman who had been dismissed and ridiculed had now become a universal symbol of strength and hope for millions. As the years went on, Kylie cemented her legacy as a pop institution. But in 2014, a new and unexpected battle emerged, one that would threaten the very name she had spent decades building. Reality TV star and burgeoning makeup mogul Kylie Jenner filed a U.S. trademark application to claim the name Kylie for her rapidly expanding commercial empire. For Minogue, this was an existential threat. She had been known professionally by her first name for nearly 30 years. Her legal team responded fiercely. In a now famous legal document, they eviscerated Jenner's claim, describing Minogue as an internationally renowned performing artist, humanitarian, and breast cancer activist. In a savage blow, they dismissed Jenner as a secondary reality television personality. It was a quiet but brutal war of the brands. In the end, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office sided with Minogue, rejecting Jenner's application. It was a massive victory. The established icon had defended her name against a new media titan, proving her legacy could not be so easily erased. Entering the 2020s, most assumed Kylie would settle into the comfortable life of a legacy act. But in 2023, she did the impossible. She released a song called Patum Patum. It was a quirky, pulsating electro-pop track with a ridiculously catchy, onomatopoeic hook that sounded like a heartbeat. The song was so strange and infectious that it exploded on TikTok, becoming a viral sensation among a generation that was barely alive during her 2000s peak. The Patum Ick, as it was dubbed, took over the internet. The song climbed the charts worldwide, becoming her biggest hit in over a decade and making her the only female artist to score a UK top 10 hit in 5 consecutive decades. The resurgence was capped off in stunning fashion when the song won a Grammy for Best Pop Dance Recording. It was her second Grammy win, coming an incredible 20 years after her first. In an industry obsessed with youth, Kylie had once again proven that she was a timeless force, capable of reinventing herself and capturing the world's attention at will. Kylie Minogue's story is more than just a pop career. It's a masterclass in survival. She went from a manufactured puppet to a creative powerhouse, from a commercial pariah to a global icon. She faced down her critics, her own label, a life-threatening disease, and a billion-dollar brand, and she won every single time. She is the ultimate comeback queen, an artist who has constantly adapted and evolved, refusing to be defined by any one era or image. The singing budgie didn't just learn to fly. She learned to soar above a ruthless industry that tried everything to keep her grounded. She is living proof that resilience is the ultimate superpower, and that the greatest icons are not just made, they are forged in fire.